guys, it's Morgan, and today I'm going to be talking about differences between the book and the movie Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. Now, if you haven't read the book or seen the movie, this video will contain spoilers, so if you don't want to be spoiled, stop watching the video now, go read the book and see the movie, read all of the Harry Potter books and see all of the Harry Potter movies while you're at it, and then come back. Or if you don't care about being spoiled, keep watching. So here are differences between the book and the movie Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. The first difference that I want to talk about is the fact that in the beginning of the movie, Harry is doing magic in his bed. And in the books, and also the movies, Harry can't do magic outside of Hogwarts yet. It's a creative way to start the movie, but at the same time, whenever I see that scene, I can't help but think, wouldn't he be expelled for doing that? In the book, Harry blows Aunt Marge up on her last night at the house. But in the movie, it appears that the night that he blows her up is the same day that she arrived. Which makes sense because they would want to get to that scene pretty quickly. Also in the book, when Aunt Marge is blown up, she stays in the house. But in the movie, she flies off into the sky. And I always find it really funny when you can see her in the sky when Harry's leaving the Dursleys. In the book, Harry and Ron are with Hermione when she gets her cat Crookshanks. But in the movie, Hermione already has Crookshanks when Harry is reunited with her and Ron. But I do kind of wish we would have seen Hermione getting Crookshanks, because in the book when that happens, Crookshanks jumps on Ron trying to get to Scabbers, and it's the start of Crookshanks knowing that something is wrong with Scabbers, which is that he's secretly Peter Pettigrew. So I think if that scene was in the movie, then people who see the movie that might not have read the books would know, once everything's revealed at the end, that Crookshanks knew that something was wrong with Scabbers. In the book, Harry overhears Mr. and Mrs. Weasley talking about how Sirius Black escaped Azkaban to kill Harry. But in the movie, Mr. Weasley just tells Harry. And I like the way it happens in the movie better, because even though it ends up not being true, at least Harry knew because he was told and not because he just overheard it. In the movie, before Dumbledore's speech, the Hogwarts choir sings with toads, but that doesn't happen in the book. And even though it is kind of random, I do find it cool that Hogwarts has a choir. At least in the movies. In the book, when Harry, Ron, and Hermione are trying to find the divination classroom, the portrait of Sir Cadogan helps them. And Sir Cadogan also takes over for the Fat Lady for a while after Sirius Black tried to get into Gryffindor Tower. But those things don't happen in the movie. Even though there is a scene in the background where you see a portrait of a knight, so I would assume that's Sir Cadogan, but it's never said. In the book, there are more hippogriffs along with Buckbeak that Hagrid shows his students during his first Care of Magical Creatures class. But in the movie, there's just Buckbeak. Which makes sense because Buckbeak is the hippogriff that's the most important. Also in the book, when Harry is flying on Buckbeak, you can tell he's not enjoying it. But in the movie, it's very clear that he does enjoy it. And also in the book, when he flies Buckbeak, he flies him around the class, but in the movie, they fly to the Hogwarts lake. In the book, Harry, Ron, and Hermione are walking up the stairs before their Defense Against the Dark Arts class, when Hermione disappears and then reappears at the bottom of the stairs, which of course confuses Ron. But in the movie, Hermione just appears out of nowhere during the Defense Against the Dark Arts class, which causes Ron to ask Harry when she got there. One of my favorite parts of the movie was all the times that Ron reacted to Hermione just appearing out of nowhere. In the book, Lupin prevents Harry from dealing with the Boggart, and you find out later that it's because he didn't want Voldemort to appear in the classroom. But in the movie, Harry does get a chance to deal with the Boggart, and it turns into a Dementor, but then Lupin steps in front of him, and it turns into a full moon. I liked that Harry had a chance to deal with the Boggart in the movie, but I'm also glad that they stuck to the book and Lupin stopped him. In the book, when everyone realizes that the fat lady is missing and her portrait is slashed, it's Peeves that tells them that Sirius Black tried to get into Gryffindor Tower. But in the movie, they find the fat lady in another portrait and she tells them. Which makes sense since Peeves isn't in the movies, even though I wish that he was. In the book, when Harry overhears that Sirius Black was friends with his father and betrayed him, he's hiding under the table that Ron and Hermione are sitting at the Three Broomsticks. But in the movie, he overhears it by himself wearing the invisibility cloak. I think the way it happened in the movie was better because even though it ended up not being true, I feel like if you were gonna hear something like that, it would be better to hear it alone. In the book, Harry gets sent a firebolt but doesn't know who it's from. Hermione, thinking it's from Sirius Black, which it is, tells McGonagall, and McGonagall takes the broom to check to see if it's jinxed. In the movie, Harry doesn't get the broom until the end of the movie, and the only way they know it's from Sirius is because one of Buckbeak's feathers came with it, which was pretty clever. In the book, during Harry's lessons with Lupin on how to produce a Patronus charm, the memory that finally works is when Harry found out that he was a wizard and will be leaving the Dursleys to go to Hogwarts. In the movie, he thinks of a memory of his parents that he's not even sure is real, which was sweet, but also sad because when you really think about it, Harry has no memories of his parents. Something that happens in the book but doesn't happen in the movie is when Sirius Black sneaks into Gryffindor Tower, and Ron wakes up and sees Sirius near his bed with a knife, and screams, which causes Sirius to run away. And of course, at first, they all thought that Sirius was there looking for Harry and just got the wrong bed. But then it's revealed that he got the right bed and was looking for Scabbers, Peter Pettigrew. In the book, Harry, under his invisibility cloak, throws mud balls at Malfoy when they're at Hogsmeade after Malfoy was being rude to Ron. But then Harry's cloak slips off and Malfoy sees that it's Harry and knows that he's in Hogsmeade when he's not supposed to be. In the movie, Harry throws snowballs at Malfoy, and the cloak never comes off, so Malfoy never knows that it was Harry, which I liked better because then Harry never got in trouble for being in Hogsmeade. In the book, Snape catches Harry with the Marauder's map after Harry comes back to the castle from Hogsmeade, and Ron covers for him, and Lupin takes the map. But in the movie, Snape catches Harry with the Marauder's map after Harry saw Peter Pettigrew on the map and went to go find him. Ron wasn't in the scene, but Lupin takes the map, which was annoying because then Harry can't use it, but he ends up giving it back at the end, so it was okay. In the book, Hermione slaps Malfoy for making fun of Hagrid crying about Buckbeak being executed. But in the movie, she punches him. And I loved both versions because usually Hermione's not the type of person that would do something that could get her in trouble, except when it comes to defending her friends. Another thing that happens in the book but doesn't happen in the movie is when Harry sees Crookshanks walking around with what he thinks is the Grim, but turns out to be Sirius Black. If this was in the movie, it would show that Crookshanks trusts Sirius Black more than he trusts Peter Pettigrew. In the book, Professor Trelawney goes into a trance and tells Harry that Voldemort will be reunited with his servant during Harry's exam. In the movie, she tells Harry the prophecy after Harry goes to return the crystal ball that Hermione knocked over when she left divination. Even though the situations were different, the fact that Professor Trelawney could tell real prophecies was there, so it wasn't a huge change. In the book, when they're in the Shrieking Shack with Sirius, Lupin, and Snape, Harry, Ron, and Hermione try and disarm Snape, which knocks him out. But in the movie, only Harry knocks him out. And I liked how it was done in the movie because it showed that Harry was willing to listen to what Sirius and Lupin had to say. In the book, since Snape is unconscious and they have to suspend him with magic while they're leaving the Shrieking Shack, he doesn't wake up to protect Harry, Ron, and Hermione from Lupin when he turns into a wolf. But in the movie, he does protect them. Which is nice to see because even though it's very clear he doesn't like them, he'll still protect them. When the Dementors show up for Sirius in the book, Harry and Hermione are both with him. But in the movie, only Harry's with him. Which makes sense because Sirius means much more to Harry. But in the movie, Hermione did try to go with Harry, but Snape stopped her. In the book, when Harry and Hermione wake up in the hospital wing, Madame Pomfrey tells them that Sirius is going to get the Dementor's kiss. And when they try to tell Fudge that he's got the wrong man, Snape says that Sirius put a Confundus charm on them. But in the movie, Hermione tells Harry that Sirius is going to get the Dementor's kiss, and they tell Dumbledore that Sirius is innocent. Fudge and Snape aren't in the scene, which I think makes a lot of sense because they would have wanted to get to the Time Turner scene quicker. In the book, when Harry and Hermione go back in time to save Sirius and Buckbeak, they can't interact with their past selves, and they can't do anything that'll affect anything. And they don't. But in the movie, they don't interact with their past selves, but they do affect things by Hermione throwing a rock at Hagrid's pot and at Harry so they know that the people involved in Buckbeak's execution are coming. And Hermione also howls to get Lupin to not hurt Harry while he's a wolf. Since these things did happen in the original timeline, they weren't technically doing anything wrong. In the book, when Harry casts the Patronus to save his past self, Hermione's past self, and Sirius's past self, he's alone and Hermione is with Buckbeak at Hagrid's hut. But in the movie, Hermione is with Harry, and it's because of Hermione that Harry realizes that he saw himself casting the Patronus and not his dad, and that he knew he could do it because he already did it. In the book, when Harry and Hermione go back to the hospital wing and tell Dumbledore that Sirius and Buckbeak are free, he's happy about it and then locks them in the hospital wing. But in the movie, when they tell him, he acts like he has no idea what they're talking about. Which was funny, but also a little weird. Also in the book, when they leave with the Time Turner, Ron is still sleeping, and when they come back, Ron is still sleeping. In the movie, when they leave with the Time Turner, Ron is awake, but since he can't walk, they can't take him with them. And when they get back, Ron is very confused because he was just talking to them, and now they're in a completely different place. And I just love Ron's reaction. One thing that always annoyed me about the movie is that it was never mentioned that Prongs is James Potter, Moony is Remus Lupin, Padfoot is Sirius Black, and Wormtail is Peter Pettigrew. It would have been so easy for Lupin to tell Harry that before he left at the end of the movie. But he didn't. And then in future movies, they're called those names, so it's like, I guess Harry learned about it off screen? Another thing that happens in the book that doesn't happen in the movie is when Sirius sends Harry a letter that tells him that he was the one that sent Harry the Firebolt. He gives Harry permission to go to Hogsmeade, and the owl that sent the letter, Pigwidgeon, is for Ron, since it's partly Sirius's fault that he no longer has a rat. And I also thought it was funny and really liked it that Ron had Crookshanks sniff Pigwidgeon to see if there's anything wrong with him. After the Scabbers fiasco, Ron has definitely warmed up to Crookshanks. Thanks for watching, guys. Let me know in the comments if there's a certain difference between the book and movie that you liked, or if there's a difference that you didn't like. And also, if you want to see any of my future videos, hit the subscribe button, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!